do you think this coffee mug is the answer to calming big emotions, or getting your ADHD child to listen to you or stop yelling at you? Well, in my 15 years of doing therapy with hundreds of families with ADHD, I've learned it's not actually just this coffee mug, but could be any of these things too. And what these things have in common will not only help calm big emotions, but also happens to be the secret to making a lot of ADHD parenting strategies work for you. So I'm going to tell you how this secret will help you parent better and exactly how to adapt this strategy so it works for you, even if you have ADHD too. And to explain this better, I want to play a game, spot the difference. But instead of looking at pictures, see what's different in these two examples. So first, a client I was recently working with, a mom, was telling me about how disrespectful her 7-year-old is because of how the child was talking to her. And she goes on to tell me that when her child doesn't want to do something, they'll say things like, "No, I'm not doing that, you a-," or "You can't make me do that, you stupid bitch." And when the mom hears this, she can't help but yell back, "Don't talk to me like that." And the mom starts thinking, what if she talks to other people like this, like grandma or at school? People will think I have no control over her and she just walks all over me. And so the mom says to me that she just doesn't know what to do anymore. Now, compare that story with this one. Another mom client is telling me that she got a note from her daughter's kindergarten teacher that said her daughter used a swear word at school. Apparently, the child spilled her snack on the floor and yelled, "Oh, damn." The notes of the teacher explained to the student that she can't use that word at school, but she also wanted the mom to know what happened. So the mom asked me how to respond to the situation. So what differences did you notice between these two stories? The most obvious is that in the first story, the child is calling the mom the swear words, and in the second story, the daughter just swore out loud in class. So the mom in the second story was kind of able to be like the silent observer of her child's behavior. She just heard about the situation from the teacher. But I think there are two differences that are less obvious. Did you pick up on them? Here's a hint. How do you think the mom in the first story feels compared to the mom in the second? The mom in the first is thinking her child is disrespectful, and she's wondering what in the world will happen and what will other people think when her daughter starts cursing at them. She's probably angry and somewhat anxious. And in the second story, we don't actually know what the mom thought about the daughter swearing at school. We don't really know what she's feeling. She just relayed the facts of the situation to me, essentially just observing the situation without making any judgments. The other difference is the second mom also kept her attention on just one thing, what to do about the profanity at school. She wasn't looking to the future or worrying about what others might think. So there are actually two things I want you to know. The first is that these things, being aware of the present moment without judgment and focusing on only one thing at a time, is the secret to staying in control of your own emotions, which in turn allows you to better help your child with theirs and to make other parenting strategies work too. And these two things, this emotion regulation secret, are the definition of mindfulness. But before you click off thinking this is going to be a video teaching you how to meditate or breathe slowly, it is not. You actually don't have to do either of those things to be mindful. So let me explain and tell you how this secret will help you as a parent. Mindfulness teaches you to deliberately pause so you can actually use strategies you've learned to parent better. And in order to effectively do that, you've got to be aware of your own emotions so that they don't influence impulsive judgments or behavior. By the way, I've got a whole module in my ADHD masterclass on calming big emotions that goes beyond what we're talking about today. Check it out in the description below. So how will mindfulness help you when your child is absolutely losing it and you're on the brink of losing it too? When you observe and describe what's going on for you and them, you bring your mind back into a more logical place. They are screaming at me. She said she will not do what I say. My chest feels tight. My jaw is clenched. I have the urge to yell back. I'm super frustrated. Even these few seconds of observing and describing will give you pause and buy you time to react more consciously rather than impulsively. Basically, it's the first step in regulating your emotions. You effectively recognize what you're feeling and what's going on around you. Mindfulness builds more empathy and gives you time to figure out how to best approach tough situations with your child. Let me explain a little better. An important principle of mindfulness is to observe non-judgmentally. Like, maybe you're frustrated when your child doesn't listen to you, and so you think, why don't they ever listen? Or they're being so rude to me. These statements are actually judgments. They're not facts. You're making assumptions about the reasons for their behavior. Maybe they do actually listen 10% of the time, or maybe they just rolled their eyes at you when you talk to them. Just observe the facts and how you feel. What parents need to deal more effectively with ADHD for themselves and their kids are fewer judgments and assumptions. For example, if you believe your child is disrespecting you because they're not cleaning up when you asked, that's actually a judgment. The simple fact is you gave them a direction and it was not followed. A non-judgmental approach gives room to ask questions. Is something about cleaning up hard for them? Maybe the task is too overwhelming, or their brain doesn't know where to start. Or maybe they were doing something really interesting and it actually didn't register that you were speaking to them because they were in hyper-focus. When you approach situations this way, you'll ultimately come up with a more effective response, one that is more curious and understanding, and that will better help your relationship. And this is why you should learn to practice these mindfulness principles. But if you're a parent who also has ADHD, the mere definition of mindfulness can feel like the antithesis of your experience. Different ideas and thoughts are often present at the same time, bouncing around in your brain. And the tendency to impulsivity can automatically tie judgments to situations without examining the facts. So what can you actually do to avoid turning everything into a whole big mess of escalated emotions and reactions? And how can we make the practice of mindfulness one that works for all parents, even for those with ADHD? But before I answer that, if you're finding this video helpful so far, I'd really appreciate it if you go ahead and tap the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It motivates me to share more content like this, and it helps this video reach more families who might find it useful too. So how can mindfulness work when you have ADHD? Well, with the right activities, practice, and self-compassion. And if you're new at what mindfulness even is, I recommend you finish this video before you look up more information about it. But if you are familiar with mindfulness or have done it before, I want you to try to look at it from a broader perspective that I'll tell you about. Now, finding the right mindfulness activities that work for an ADHD brain can be tricky. I think when many people think of mindfulness, the image that often comes up is one of sitting still and just breathing. But for a person with ADHD who generally thrives more with moving and doing, that image is laughable. Mindfulness doesn't have to be limited to that though. Any activity can actually turn into mindfulness practice. You just need to focus on the present moment and focus on only one thing at a time. You can actually be mindful while doing many activities that feel good to you. Maybe you take a mindful walk or jog. Maybe you sit down and mindfully pet or groom your dog. Maybe you have an all-out dance jam to your favorite song. You go all in on whatever the activity is without judgment, focusing on the present moment and what you are currently doing, which will ultimately teach you to be aware of your emotions, even in heated moments with your child. You can look at many ways to do this on YouTube, or even check out the short video of mine for belly breathing. But basically, fully focus on the activity as you do it. Let other thoughts go as they come into your mind. Observe what you are doing fully with your senses. What do you see? What does it feel like? What are the steps? But I know that when you have ADHD, all sorts of thoughts and images are likely to pop into your head that make it harder to only focus on the present moment and one thing at a time. So when practicing mindfulness, instead of paying attention to each one, just notice them for what they are, thoughts. And imagine they're like clouds floating across the sky or groceries moving down the checkout conveyor belt. Learn to let go and let the thoughts pass through. Continually bring your attention back to the original mindfulness practice. By the way, if you found mindfulness helpful, tell me in the comments what activities have worked for you. It'll help other parents too. Sharing this kind of advice between parents is one of the many reasons why people join my ADHD masterclass. I lead Q&A sessions to exchange ideas and make strategies work better for everyone. Check out the link in the description for that. So even with some ideas about how to practice mindfulness, there's another thing that's sometimes a hurdle for the ADHD brain, although it can be hard for a lot of people without ADHD. And that is that it takes consistent practice to see real benefits. And making something a habit or routine is hard for people with ADHD because routines by definition are routine, meaning boring and not novel, which are qualities that sometimes makes those tasks feel painful and impossible to do. So you've got to make mindfulness practice interesting or rewarding, or better yet, both. How might you do that? Turn an activity you already enjoy partially or fully into a mindfulness practice, like exercise or crafting or drinking coffee. You can also make mindfulness more consistent by making it a game or more rewarding. Like, how many days in a row can you maintain a mindfulness streak? Or what could you enjoy after 3 days in a row? Maybe you drink your long-awaited morning coffee until after a mindful walk. So by now you should know how these things can not only help calm big emotions, but also help make parenting strategies work better for you. Practice mindfulness often so you build the brain muscles to do it well. Then when you really need it, you'll be ready. Your relationships will thank you for it. But know that mindfulness is just the first step. If you want more ideas on what you can do right now that will make a meaningful difference for you and your child with ADHD, be sure to go watch this video next. It has 5 quick things you can do in under 5 minutes each to make ADHD parenting easier, including exactly what to say in heated moments. Remember, put your relationships first. I'll see you in the next video.